A lot of the supporters of the ICC referral said that it was their hope that by putting this strong wording into the resolution, the supporters of Gaddafi, his inner circle, would begin to actually turn on him and help to bring down the regime, in essence. And in fact, we heard the Libyan ambassador calling on the military leaders in Libya to do just that, to turn away from Gaddafi and support the people.
Okay, Kristen, thank you very much. We're watching there on the right-hand side of your screen the British ambassador, of course, British sponsored this resolution. He's talking, addressing reporters just outside the council chamber. Let's listen into what he's saying.
Reinsertion into the country of humanitarian agencies and the provision of humanitarian support. I think it's too early to go into details about what specific actions may be required. There's already a lot of activity both on the Tunisian border and on the Egyptian border to try and ensure that the necessary humanitarian support goes into Libya. And we'll be looking at further efforts in that respect in the coming days. Last question.
Just to follow, would you have preferred to keep the previous language to use to authorize all necessary measures instead of facilitate and support?
This is a very strong draft. It has the support of all 15 members of the Security Council, and I think it's that unity of the Security Council which sends such a powerful message to the leadership in Libya. Thank you very much.
That was the British ambassador to the UN Security Council there, speaking of the efforts which are ongoing to try and support and help with the situation in Libya. Let's listen now to the US ambassador who is speaking, Susan Rice.
And binding measures that aim to stop the Libyan regime from killing its own people. We want to thank the delegation of the UK for its skillful leadership of this effort in the Council. And we're very pleased with the outcome, and also with the unity of purpose that the Council has showed in acting quickly and decisively in accordance with its responsibility to protect. It's worth noting that this is the first unanimous Security Council resolution to refer a case of heinous human rights violations to the International Criminal Court. Finally, it's also worth noting that the Security Council has not finished its business. It will keep these sanctions under review and strengthen or modify them as the situation evolves. I'm happy to take a couple of questions. Talal.
Madam Ambassador, what's the significance? You said this is the first resolution that is passed unanimously that refer a case to the ICC, but what's the significance being the first resolution of referral sponsored by the United States?
Well, it's very significant that the Council has acted so swiftly and in unanimity around what are some outrageous and heinous crimes that are being committed by the government of Libya against its own people. The United States and all the members of the Council felt that what is transpiring is absolutely unacceptable and demanded an urgent and unanimous response. We are pleased to have supported this entire resolution and all of its measures, including the referral to the ICC. We were happy to have the opportunity to co-sponsor this, and we think that it is a very powerful message to the leadership of Libya that this heinous killing must stop and that individuals will be held personally accountable.
What's your next step to, in the immediate future to help the people of Libya on the ground?
Well, we have, as a Security Council today, imposed tough and binding measures to prevent the flow of arms in and out of Libya, to freeze the assets of the leadership who are committing these atrocities, to prevent the travel of those same people and those that are supporting them. These are all very specific and concrete measures designed to end the violence and enable the people of Libya, as I said in the Security Council, to continue to be able to express themselves freely and now without violence, to be able to enjoy the universal rights that people around the world deserve to have protected. And the Council tonight stood firmly and resolutely with the people of Libya in respect of those universal rights.
Ambassador, given the fact that this regime has totally flouted any international norms and stuff, how do you intend to enforce any of the resolutions so that this regime is not able to kill the people at will that it is doing? And that has to be done swiftly, because it doesn't seem they're listening at this time.
Well, that's a very pertinent question. First of all, I can't remember a time in recent memory when the Council has acted so swiftly, so decisively, and in unanimity on an urgent matter of international human rights. So this in itself is mightily important. Secondly, the resolution puts in place some very concrete enforcement mechanisms, the Sanctions Committee, panels to enforce and review these measures, which we have learned are effective in helping the Security Council ensure the effective implementation of its resolutions. I think all members of the Security Council are united in their determination that these sanctions work, that they work as swiftly as possible, and that they have the intended effect of stopping the violence against innocent civilians. Thank you very much.
Good evening. This has been an outstanding day for the Security Council, the United Nations, and I think the world. My country is very pleased that the Council tonight acted so swiftly and decisively. And what's remarkable, it acted in unity. It has sent out a very clear and strong message to the world. This Council and the international community will not tolerate those gross and systematic violations of human rights by the Libyan regime, and we owe this message to the Libyan people. And that's why we imposed strong sanctions. And what's particularly important is this unanimous referral to the International Criminal Court. That sends out the message that we will not tolerate those massive systematic attacks. They will not go unpunished. And it sends out a clear warning to those perpetrators who have and will commit crimes against humanity. So we are very pleased about this unanimous action. I think it's a historic day for this institution.
Could you please clarify the reference to the Article 16 of the Rome Statute in the preamble? Why is it there?
The Article 16, that's a language that has been used before, for instance, in the resolution on Darfur. It states the obvious. It states something that is in the Rome Statute.
Herr Botschafter, bitte eine Frage auf Deutsch. Wie schätzen Sie diese Resolution ein und wie wird sie in Libyen selber weiterhelfen?
Das ist eine Resolution, die Bedeutung über den Tag hinaus hat. Es ist eine klare Botschaft an das libysche Regime, die Gewalt zu stoppen, und eine klare Warnung.
To the German ambassador to the United Nations there, summing up his take on the Security Council resolution that's just been passed unanimously, saying this council will not tolerate the systematic violation and abuse of human rights. Well, we heard just moments before he began to speak from the US ambassador to the Security Council, Susan Rice, who expressed or underlined the fact that this was the first unanimous referral to the International Criminal Court, and that the Security Council, as she said, hasn't finished its business, in something of a warning to those elements still in charge of the situation in Libya about further possible UN action. She said the resolution sent a powerful message to the Libyan leader that the heinous killings must stop. Well, let's bring in Kristin Salumi. Kristin, let's recap for us at this point. What exactly has been passed?
Well, this resolution is a very strong sanctions resolution and includes an arms embargo against Libya, a travel ban, and an asset freeze for Muammar Gaddafi and his inner circle of government officials and family members. But as we've been discussing, the referral to the International Criminal Court is what really stands out here, and what is being touted by many of the ambassadors as the strength of this resolution. The hope is that by sending this message to Libya, that members of Gaddafi's inner circle will begin to think twice about what's happening there, will realize that the international community is united against the situation in Libya, against the crackdown on the protesters there, and will get some of them to turn against Gaddafi. And to that effect, take a listen to what the Libyan ambassador, the deputy ambassador to the United Nations, had to say during the hearing.
The Tripoli regime has no longer any credibility. It goes without saying that this resolution represents moral support for our people who are resisting before the firing which has been imposed on them by the regime. It is an essential point in the position of the international community on the occasion of the carnage we are witnessing today in Libya. I have in mind here an attempt to protect civilians. This resolution will be a signal in order to put an end to this fascist regime.
Kristen, let's talk a little bit about enforceability and any ability to actually stop the killings as well as condemn them. What happens to the idea of perhaps imposing no-fly zones?
Well, one of the ambassadors was asked about that yesterday. This resolution never included the no-fly zone, an idea that was floated but was not seriously considered by the Council. And the French ambassador, Gérard Araud, said that a no-fly zone is in essence a military response. It takes a lot of coordination. It would take a lot more debate on the Council in order to get that organized. And the desire was to have a strong, unified, and quick response. And so that was not discussed. Obviously, it would be a much stickier situation. So this resolution does not indeed contain any kind of a military aspect to it. And Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General himself, acknowledged that it's not likely to immediately protect the protesters on the ground in Libya, but he did say that it sends a clear expression of the unity of nations and was a vital first step.
Let's talk a little bit about how immediate. There was some discussion about the referral to the ICC. How immediate is this referral?
It is an immediate referral, but there was some language inserted at the last minute, which essentially